welcome to today's show. My name is Spencer Walsh. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We have a good one for you on the show. Of course, we're talking about Mexico and the trade deal, the trade crisis Trump started and stopped just in the nick of time, playing with fire. Also, we got for you today U.S. Women's National Team fighting out their pay-to-play or their equal pay lawsuit, and John Dean testifying on the Hill coming up, and more for you. All right, but we start with this trade deal, this trade crisis, I guess you could say, that Trump had going on. He also, thank goodness, managed to stifle it before it got worse or got bad. But we will we'll get you all the details, so because that's what we do. Anyway, so just 1 week ago, GOP lawmakers were discussing how they blocked President Trump's proposed tariffs on Mexico, but now they're praising the president, even his tariff threat, as the ultimate deal maker who made a breakthrough on the border crisis. Yet Trump's announcement of a deal with Mexico may have avoided another potential conflict with his own party. GOP lawmakers talk of issuing a resolution of disapproval to override tariffs against Mexico would have been their most dramatic act of defiance yet, because even they know it's just be too much. It'd just be too much for them to handle, I think, if they really went out there and did that, because it would just be really, frankly, jarring. It would be jarring if they did. So that was the big thing that we could have seen happen, but we didn't really get to see. The relief was really palpable on the Sunday shows. Senator Roy Blunt, who had spoken out against the tariff threat, called the deal a big win for both sides and sent a message to China, whose leaders were wrangling with Trump over trade. Even though I'm not really supportive of tariffs, he is, and his willingness to use that probably helped produce a results. Blunt said on Face the Nation, the new party line is that while I generally do not support, this is from Marco Rubio, he says, while I generally do not support issuing tariffs, Mexico's lack of commitment when it comes to addressing the unsustainable and dangerous migratory crisis at our southern border has left this administration with no other choice. While Rubio broke with other Senate Republicans last week to defend Trump's plan, his quote encapsulates the new talking points, saying, quote, by maximum pressure and demanding decisive action from the López Obrador administration, President Trump has secured an important victory on behalf of the American people. So there are hints opposition was softening even before the deal announcement, as Republicans were uneasy about challenging Trump on one of his key priorities, and also one of his base's key priorities. Like, how do you think that's going to play with the people who are watching Fox News in your district and hearing, oh, how about this? This is so good. This is so good. How much do you really want to come out and challenge this on? And we already saw what happened to the last Republican that challenged Trump, Jim Jordan, or not Jim Jordan. I forget his name, but he got really hit quite hard. So State Department officially, their notice is Mexico has announced that they're taking strong measures on Friday night, including implementing some measures they've been taking on Friday, including implementing strong measures to reduce the flow of migrants across its territory toward the southern border, including unprecedented deployment of thousands of Mexican National Guard troops. It also agreed to expand a program allowing Central American migrants to stay in Mexico while they await their adjudication of their asylum claims. So that's probably something that they really would like to see, and probably not the best for Mexico. Some parts of the agreement do remain murky. Some things I mentioned in yesterday's press release, one in particular, were agreed upon, and the full terms will be announced at the appropriate time, Trump said. So some cracks in Trump's claim quickly materialized over the weekend. So the question, there are questions about how much of it is actually new, he said. The Mexican government has already pledged to deploy more troops along the southern border in March during secret talks in Miami between Kirstjen Nielsen and Olga Sanchez, the Mexican Secretary of the Interior. The centerpiece of the Trump deal was the expansion of a program to allow asylum seekers to remain in Mexico while their legal cases proceed, but that arrangement was reached in December in a pair of painstakingly negotiated diplomatic notes that the two countries exchanged. So, Donald Trump said Mexico has agreed to immediately begin buying large quantities of agricultural products from our great patriot farmers. That claim that he said also drew denials from Mexico. This was Saturday that he said this. 3 Mexican officials said Trump senators said that they were not aware of any side accord in the works, and that agricultural trade had not been discussed during the 3 days of joint negotiations in Washington that culminated in a joint communique late Friday. I probably said that word wrong. It's from Bloomberg there. Notable, though, there's no mention of agricultural trade as part of an agreement in the U.S.-Mexico Joint Declaration released Friday evening. The thing is, this again also from Bloomberg, the State Department did not respond to an inquiry made through its press department. The White House declined to comment or offer proof to back up Trump's tweet. The Mexican Foreign Ministry's press office declined to comment. So Martha Barcena, the Mexican ambassador to the U.S., demurred when pressed by Margaret Brennan on whether there would be any additional deal to buy agricultural products. She did say that the agricultural trade is going to grow without tariffs and with USMCA ratification. But there was no transaction that was signed off on as part of the deal, is what I understand you're saying. You're just talking about trade here. I am talking about trade, she responds, and I'm absolutely certain that the trade in agricultural goods could increase dramatically in the next few months. So, yeah, but as Felicia, Mike, and Nick note, Barcena's later tweet underscores the Mexican officials' hesitance to appear critical of the president so soon after avoiding a major trade war. Because, yeah, they do want to keep things, they really want to keep the big baby under control. They want to keep him happy, I really think it seems, because this is a very, very dangerous situation. Because if this would happen, it'd be so hard to overstate how disastrous really it would be, because there is no way of fully putting the words in, accurately stating it, accurately explaining it. It would be very hard to put that properly into words, because it's just such a big, it would be such a big blow. So that's probably something when you have Republicans coming out and opposing this the way they were, that's how you know it's a really big problem for them to say. But then I haven't heard that much about the Democrats. We're going to talk about the Democrats now, though, because they right now are returning to their Mueller report and their investigative procedures. In a very public debate over impeachment, House Democrats are turning their focus to Robert Mueller's most critical conclusions at a 2 p.m. hearing today. The House Judiciary Committee's star witness will be former Nixon White House counsel John Dean. Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler said last week the hearing will focus on Trump's most overt acts of destruction. Former U.S. attorneys and legal experts are also expected to testify alongside Dean. Dean was and remains a ubiquitous presence on CNN, where he's a contributor during the nearly 2-year-long investigation. He is also among the many Watergate figures who received renewed attention given the frequent comparisons between the two probes. How Republicans will respond? Well, you can bet the Republicans will bring up that Dean pleaded guilty to obstructing justice and was later disbarred and served 4 months in federal prison. Ohio Representative Jim Jordan, a co-founder of the conservative House Freedom Caucus and Trump ally, made this apparent as soon as the hearings were announced. Trump also attacked Dean on Sunday on Twitter as a sleazebag. Dean responded that someone should buy the president a dog because Trump needs a friend so he won't vent endlessly on Twitter. So, yeah, that would be probably a good idea, but I don't feel like he would be very comfortable around dogs either. He's well known. I think he's pretty anti-dog. I guess that's what I'm hearing, what I remember hearing at one point or another. Anyway, Republicans are also seeking to limit the extent of just how scathing Democrats can be in their description of Trump. Georgia Representative Doug Collins, the top Republican on the panel, wrote to Nadler on Friday with a reminder of the House rules for decorum when discussing the president. Collins said the testimony amounts to a mock impeachment hearing, so that's a new one. Wow. The Republicans are just pulling everything out of their hat here about how this works. So Nadler, our Post colleagues, previously reporter, good friends of the Post, is pushing Nancy Pelosi behind the scenes to open an impeachment inquiry. And more than 12 Democrats just a dozen Democrats on Nadler's panel also support an inquiry, so you can keep an eye on that tension there about what questions will be asked as opposed from Nadler to other people in the committee, to people supported, to people who don't. That's going to be very interesting. So Mueller made it clear in his public statement he would not testify beyond the contents of the 448-page report that he released, but Nadler has already said that he still wants to appear with the possibility of subpoenaing him, which is a big deal. So the House Intelligence Committee will hold a hearing on the report's counterintelligence implications. In case you forgot, the Mueller investigation began as an FBI counterintelligence investigation. For senior FBI officials, former senior FBI officials Stephanie Douglas and Robert Anderson, who, according to CNN, did not work on the Mueller probe, will be the key witnesses. So that's what you need to expect from the investigation today. We're now going to turn to the Hill, following up on Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut releasing a bipartisan bill to seeking to block the Trump administration's controversial and unilateral arms sales to Saudi Arabia. He told Washington Post last week that he's worried the president is gradually erasing Article 1 of the Constitution. Murphy's bill with Senator Todd Young of Indiana uses a provision in the Foreign Assistance Act to request a report from the administration on the Saudi Arabia's human rights record, which eventually could trigger a vote to halt billions of arms sales, which Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is moving forward to despite congressional opposition, according to Politico's Burgess Everett. Our arms sales to Saudi Arabia demand congressional oversight, Young told Everett of Politico. This bipartisan resolution simply asks the Secretary of State to report on the basic questions before going forward with them. The ongoing humanitarian crisis and complicated security environment in Yemen requires a sustained attention, and we cannot permit U.S. military equipment to worsen the situation. I think he's definitely right about that. So shout out to my guy, Todd Young, helping out on the Republican side. So it's always good to see. Anyway, in the media, U.S. women's team is set to defend their title amid the equal pay lawsuit. The U.S. women's team is set to begin this World Cup on defense on Tuesday against Thailand, but the entire 28-player squad is suing its employer, the U.S. Soccer Federation, with the allegation they are not paid equal to their male counterparts and suffer from inferior working conditions and investment. So, Liz Clark had an incredible report about the unprecedented fight during the sport's biggest event, which is pretty crazy. This isn't what champion athletes normally do, launch a public fight with their boss during the most critical stage of their athletic preparation when their focus is on shutting out distractions rather than actively creating them. But increasingly, it's what female athletes are doing, fighting one battle on the field of play, whether on the soccer pitch, ice hockey rink, wrestling mat, or boxing ring, while taking on another battle off it to make their sport better, fairer, and more equitable. What one player says, it's wild, but I now have so many more skills than a lot of these male athletes because they don't think about anything. They don't think about anything, says Megan Rapinoe, co-captain of the U.S. team. From age 14 to 15, these guys are not thinking about, nor do they ever have to think about anything other than being a soccer player. It's their job. It's their sole focus, and that is not that's not really what's going on there for the women's team, at least according to Megan Rapinoe. While the men's team historically generates more revenue for U.S. soccer, the women's team eclipsed them in the fiscal year encompassing their rout of Japan in the 2015 Women's World Cup final, which was watched on television by 25.4 million in the United States, a U.S. record for any soccer match, men or women. So the women's triumph and 10-game victory tour followed helped transform U.S. soccer's projected net loss from just around $500,000 that year to a $17.7 million profit. Wow. So U.S. soccer has defended their inequity bonuses by pointing to FIFA, which makes far more money from men's World Cups than women's. That imbalance is reflected on the lump sums that FIFA gives the participating nations based on their tournament performance. A company stepped up to even the playing field. The maker of Luna Bars announced that it would cover the shortfall and pay 23 women who made the squad $31,250 each, the difference between U.S. soccer's roster bonuses for men and women. So, that is interesting, and it's definitely a story to watch as the fight for justice and equal pay continues in soccer. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. This is The Wake Up.